Coming up on the CodeBet Daily NRL Round 14 preview, Phil and I are two depressed boys after New South Wales were, let's be honest, kind of pathetic last night. Nicho Hynes has got a cold and we are backing the Panthers to demolish the worst club run in all of sport. Phil, what have you got for us this week?
Yeah, the Houston Texans of the NRL are going to get absolutely blasted on Sunday Night Football. I've got the Panthers by 30 plus. We're definitely not going to cry about Origin 1 at any point of this podcast.
No, seriously. It's actually a really good show. We break down all the games in detail. There's some pretty good information there, and we're pretty keen on the Sharks to get the job done too. But check it out. CodeBet Daily Round 14 NRL Preview coming at you right now. Welcome to the CodeBet Daily NRL Show. It is round 14. I am your host, Alex Donnelly. I'm a very sad New South Wales boy. I may have to change my allegiances back to Ireland because I have two passports. I am joined, as always, by Phil Pryor, who is also a sad New South Wales boy. How are we, Phil?
Particularly sad today, must be said.
I'm used to it by now, though.
Yes, we certainly are used to it. This is new information that you're a dual citizen.
Yes, keep that one. Oh, I don't keep it under wraps. A lot of people know, but yes, have the Irish passport. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm an Irish citizen, and maybe for the Rugby Union World Cup as well, I'll go back to my Irish roots.
That's not a bad idea. Fun fact, I used to babysit a young Canberra product by the name of Mac Hansen, who is winger on the best international rugby team in the world, which is Ireland.
There we go.
Yeah, it turns out he also had Irish roots. He moved over there about 3-4 seasons ago after breaking through in the Brumbies system. And now...
said, stuff the Wallabies, see you later.
Exactly. And now he is in that starting 15 for Ireland, the one that I think they just won the Six Nations not that long ago, and they're just killing it.
This is Code Union Daily, of course. But yes, that's later in this season. But quick wrap up from last night, Phil. Jim and I talked about it earlier. I hated the blue, the navy blue that is. I hated everything. I'm going to be honest. I hated absolutely everything. There's no use yelling. Freddie Fittler, this has got to be his last Origin. Nicho Hynes, he obviously had no plan for him. If you're going to have one of the best players in the game on the bench, why not, have a plan and do something with him? But you know what? We stank.
Yeah, it was not good. I've gone across a weird journey, I would say, since full time with my mates on the messenger threads, because so many of them were just overreacting like you wouldn't believe last night.
Yeah.
Saying, I hope we lose this series just so that we can get rid of Freddie. And I was trying to say, look, you can agree that Freddie is a bad coach. I nearly swore there. Without hoping that we just punt yet another Origin series to turn over to an unknown. Like who's replacing Freddie?
I have no idea. That's my thing. I have no idea, but I think he needs to go. It's almost like my Michael Voss at Carlton theory.
No, yeah. There's little doubt about that. They just looked so disorganized last night. It was insane. Consistently, there's no plan for the younger players that they're trying to bring through. They start Hudson Young on the field. We said on Tuesday, start him on the bench. Let him ease into the game. Bring him on with 13 minutes or 10 minutes before halftime. You can kind of sneak players on there. Same with TPJ. Don't start him, drag him after 30 minutes, and then make him rot on the pine for the rest of the game, and then use him as a scapegoat for game 2. There's a chance the same will happen with Pengai. Like, why not bring these guys off the bench, ease them into this experience? Someone like a Campbell Graham, again, we spoke about it. There were reasons why maybe he wasn't the best 18th/19th man if he wasn't going to be fit enough to play opposed in training, but have them in camp. Like, now all of a sudden we're going to turn to him potentially for game 2 because some of our outside backs stunk it up as well. He would have been a lot better off for the experience. Where's your plan A with Nicho Hynes? The list honestly goes on. Why is Nathan Cleary receiving it left of the ruck on fifth and last so many times and putting himself under pressure to get a kick away when you know that time and space is going to be taken away from you against a Queensland team which are going to turn up with intensity and effort?
Yep.
Look, the thing is, Origin is a great equaliser because the team that loses game one are always they're always going to take away more lessons from a loss than what the winning team is. And it very, very often happens that the team that loses game one comes out with more intensity, motivation, and plan in game two. They get the job done like the Blues did last year. And so there's no point writing off the Blues this year, for game two. There's no point punting this season just to see the backside of Freddie. It's back to the drawing board for sure. There's a stack of things that we did poorly in game one, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater as well. There were many, many outcomes at the back end of that game in which we just win it anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, if I'm selection, I'm just saying, all right, sorry, Jerome Luai, you're dropped. I'm playing Nico Hines because, well, why not? Something different because Panthers ball isn't working, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Anyway, something that's good for us is a Friday night. I think it's in Campbelltown. I hope it's in Campbelltown. It's what I've got in front of me. As the West Tigers, $2.05, host the team we're sort of riding at the moment, the Canberra Raiders. The top four bet is on at $1.80. The line is 1.5 and the over-under is 42. The West Tigers have lost their last 6 matches at home against Canberra, and I think I read it's 2014 since the West Tigers beat Canberra in Sydney.
Yeah, this is a tight one. I mean, you look at the odds that you've just listed there. There's no doubt that these markets are particularly, this market is particularly tight. Rightly so. There are still some unknowns, so we do have to preface that. And as well, I've just submitted my preview, and a lot of it hinges on whether Api Coruscant is able to back up and what sort of condition he's in as well. He played too many minutes last night and therefore was ineffective. Sorry, we're just bringing things back to our origin now.
Sorry.
But 48 hours is a really tough turnaround. He's also got to get back from the middle of Australia. So him backing up, whilst he might not be as effective as normal anyways, he might have been coming into the game fresh, it will still matter. He's their captain. So Coruscant's availability matters. Hudson Young wasn't used all that much in game one, so he's probably fine.
Yeah.
So Canberra get the better of that exchange, whether or not Api does get up to play in this game, or as Fatty Vorton calls him, Api Coruscant.
Side note, actually, the Channel 9 commentary was genuinely unbearable. Honestly. Fox need to get the rights for the State of Origin.
No comment, because Nine are an employer of mine.
All right, just send your hate tweets towards me. It was disgraceful. Fox have got to get the rights. It just makes it better. It's like, you've got a choice between Fox and Channel 9 on any night. It's like when you watch anything. Triple M, you could choose to listen to the ABC, SEN, anything. The listeners or the viewers will go to what product suits them. Of course, a lot of people are just going to go straight to Channel 9, but people who enjoy rugby league or have a bit of knowledge, they're probably going to go to Fox because they're getting more detailed analysis. Anyway, rant over. Back to this game.
Well, what I would just say quickly, I think I'm okay in saying this, but having so many of those guys that are so close to the respective camps,
it's not great.
It doesn't allow them to blossom into bring out their personality, because they don't want to give anything away, and B, they're worried that something they're going to say is going to get used against them as
and they're also willing to
leverage.
skate on.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously nervous. Like they want their team to do well. So like if you're going to have these guys in the commentary box, they really they should just be really leaning into the rivalry of it. Not trying to remain unbiased.
The old press red for Ed, where Eddie Maguire and the Collingwood boys did a couple of games of 10 years ago on Foxtel. It was awesome.
No, it wasn't, because it was Eddie Maguire commentating.
I loved it because I was just like, I want to listen to this for a quarter just to see how far they go. And it was exactly what I expected. Therefore, I enjoyed it.
Great concept, but just get anyone else, someone that can actually commentate. Maybe that's a good starting point. Let's get us commentating the Swans.
Oh man, you'd hear me out the window yelling, "Stop handballing it! Kick the bloody thing!" That wouldn't be great. I'd probably be fired after night one. I could commentate a game tomorrow night as long as it doesn't involve the Swans.
Fair. All right, let's get back on track here.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, so the Raiders, speaking of sort of slight motivational factors here, the Raiders are arresting Jared Croker. So if Tim Sheens plays his cards right, he can leverage that situation as framing it as disrespectful, that they're taking the Tigers lightly. Yeah. And the Tigers are coming off the bye. Before that, it was their 66-18 win over the Cowboys. So they're coming in with decent form and a level of freshness as well. The Raiders obviously got things back on track last week, winning in Sydney, winning against a good Rabbitohs team, even though they obviously did have a couple out. So, look, the Raiders are the quality team here. They're the ones that we've backed to finish top four only 2 weeks ago. They've got the superior pack. The Tigers aren't going to have it all their own way up front. It could be slightly greasy, under lights, winter in Western Sydney. But I think both of these sides are going to show intention to score points. Still not convinced it's the final back seven that we see out of the Raiders. They're just a couple of injury concerns coming out of last week's game, and they do have guys that can cover. Guys like Sebastian Chris and Jordan Rapiner, who are under a slight injury cloud. But in saying that, I think the Raiders can go up and get the job done minus the 1.5. So that's where I'm leaning. You can get $1.90 via Ladbrokes. You can get Matt Timokor for first try scorer at $19. He's got 4 tries this year. I think he's getting better with every game. He runs a great line. He runs with authority on that right edge, and I think the Raiders can hit the ground running in this one, particularly if there's no Coruscant. Could take the Tigers a bit of time just to get into gear. So that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I didn't mind the Raiders at the line as well. I thought the win last week sort of galvanised them. And the West Tigers, that 66-18 win, it's one of those ones just like, okay, that happened, and you just sort of wipe it away because there's no way they can replicate that at all. I just can't see it happening. Let's move across to Saturday in New Zealand as the Warriors, $1.46, host the Dolphins, $2.92. The line is 7.5 through Bet365. Wayne Bennett's like, nah, boys, don't come across from the state of origin. Stay over in Queensland or wherever the hell they're going to go after this game. He's left his origin players out, which is their same 17 from last week.
It's almost like Wayne Bennett knows what he's doing with this whole NRL coaching thing.
It's pretty smart. He's like, you played in Adelaide and you've got to play in New Zealand on Saturday against the Warriors. Now, boys, pack her up, go home, go rest up for next week.
Pack her up. Makes a lot of sense. Look, the Raiders certainly let me down as far not the Raiders, the Warriors certainly let me down as far as my tipping was concerned last week against that baby Broncos team in New Zealand at Streaker Park. Did you see all the spectators running on?
It's not the first time that it's happened, and it's like, we're going to take away games from New Zealand if you keep doing this. No, you're not. Shut up. It's just dumb, but it's also funny because it's like, well, they didn't see football for like 3 years, so fair enough to them.
It was pretty wild. Anyway, the Warriors get another crack in New Zealand this weekend to bounce back. I think they're a quality enough team that we shouldn't expect them to bounce back. They get obviously a Dolphins team without the cream of their list. The Warriors don't have anyone coming off Origin. They'll be motivated to put last week behind them. They've also got some big inclusions this week as well. They've got Wade Egan back, Dylan Walker back, Mitch Barnett back, and that adds a bit more to their bench rotation. But particularly Wade Egan, he's been arguably, if rugby league handed out a most improved award like the NBA do, he'd be on the short list, I reckon. Just the importance that he has all of a sudden brought to the way that the Warriors go about things with the ball in hand out of dummy half. He's pretty vital to what they're doing, and they really missed him last week. So having Wade Egan back is going to be massive for them. He poses a threat close to the try line as well. So, look, I think the Warriors will be quality. Pretty much all year I've taken, ever since we saw the Dolphins win those opening 2 games, where I started to take note that maybe I'd underestimated what the Dolphins were going to achieve this season. I've pretty much backed the Dolphins to cover almost every week.
Yeah.
Particularly that there was a game about maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago at home against the Rabbitohs. I took the Dolphins to cover. The Rabbitohs pulled away in that game. Most weeks, though, the Dolphins are going to be up for the fight. I do think this is one of those weeks, though, where Redcliffe could just slip away with 30-odd minutes to go. So yeah. I actually don't mind the Warriors. I hate the 7.5, but I'm still leaning that way.
Yeah, no, it looks that way, just given it's sort of that one where Wayne's like, all right, let's not get hurt. Let's, cop the loss, go back home when we've got a full-strength team next week. Saturday, 5:30 p.m, the Gold Coast Titans, $2.95, host the Bunnies, $1.42. The Bunnies have won their last 10 up on the Gold Coast. The line is 7.5. You think the Bunnies would be bouncing back in this one. They've also covered the line in their last 4 against I nearly called them the Suns, the Titans.
Yeah, I would think so. Cam Murray was just another one of the more underutilized players, you could say, only because he should have started. And he still got through probably more minutes than other guys like Payne Haas and a few other guys, obviously. But it looks like they've been named to back up him and Jai Arrow. Obviously, Latrell won't play, which is still a massive out for the Rabbitohs. I don't, we don't tip the Raiders to beat the Rabbitohs in Sydney last week if Latrell's playing. It's as simple as that. But yeah, like for the Titans, they're expecting Tino and Fafita to back up as well. So those areas will be interesting. The other one is Kieran Foran's being rested, and they've got Jaden Campbell starting at 6, and they've got Keanu Kinney on debut, unless he has played at some point previously, but not that I'm aware of. So that's interesting. That it certainly has me leaning the direction of the Rabbitohs, though, just from a personnel perspective. The Rabbitohs are one to blow teams out as well. Yeah. They are one of the best teams in the comp, undisputedly one of the competition's contenders. And I think they can put a bit of a score on the Titans away from home and put last week behind them.
Yeah, no, I thought that as well. That just seems a worse team without Kieran Foran, and that's just a try and a bit looks a bit too much for me. So I'm going to take the Bunnies at the line. The Cronulla Sharks, they should have a fresh Nicho Hines on their hands. They are $1.58. Brisbane are $2.42. The Sharks have won their last 5 after the bye, and the line is 4.5. Yeah, Brisbane travelling with, what is it? It is a running joke that 3/4 of their team's in the Origin setup, but it's probably about 4 or 5 blokes, let's be honest. So how will we go here with some late changes potentially from Wednesday night with the Broncos?
Yeah, I think it's 4. Reece Walsh, Cobbo, Payne Haas and Carrigan. If I'm missing any, and Flegler. So, yeah, that's hard. That's your 3 starting middles there for the Broncos. But Payne Haas was underused in that Origin game. Carrigan wasn't. He's just a mountain of a human. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Paddy C. Flegler was only fined for that high shot on Turbo at the back end of that Origin game, of course, where he was controversially sin-binned. Selwyn Cobbo is going to be out by the looks of things. Hip pointer injury. NRL physio says standard sort of procedure there is a 7 to 10 day turnaround. So it looks as though Cobbo might not go back onto a rugby league field until game 2 of the Origin series. For the Sharks, Nicho Hines is obviously fresh as a daisy. Apart from the fact that he might catch a cold after sitting on the bench for so long last night in that game. They'll get Talakai back as well, who terrible Origin player, but great NRL player. CSC for Talakai. Just another one of those players who was just not afforded an opportunity to succeed in the Origin setup due to the poor coaching that is in place of New South Wales. I digress. The Sharks will be too good in this game. The Broncos have just got too many players under sort of a fitness cloud. Reece Walsh as well, coming off a massive Origin game at fullback. So Dean Mariner, he's a really promising young outside back. He comes into the team. But yeah, look, the Sharks are. I've got the Sharks in the same tier as I've got the Rabbits, which means I speak very highly of them, and I think they'll be good enough. That they're obviously fresh, coming off the bye, and yeah, they're still not at full gear as far as their forward pack goes. Toby Rudolph's still a few weeks away, and Cam McInnes as well. But yeah, I think the Sharks are too good in this game, and I'm eating up the 4.5.
Yeah, nice. I agree with that one as well. Moving across to another game that's going to hurt me. I can feel it already. The Roosters are somehow $1.30. Canterbury are $3.90. The line is 10.5. The Roosters stink. They absolutely stink. And I'm a fan of them, and I'm saying that. It's like Jim and Carlton at the moment. I saw a stat during the week. 16 teams in the NRL have scored 30 or more points this year. The Roosters are the one that haven't. It just goes to show how terrible they are going.
I was actually going to point that one out.
Yes!
Whoever figured that out on Twitter, shout out to them. The Oracle, there you go. Shout out to them. An outstanding stat and just an indictment of the Roosters right now, who are, and I do not like using this word on broadcast, but they are a disgrace. The Roosters. It's
going around at Moore Park. I can't help it at the moment. It's really killing me.
Yeah, I am excited to see Junior Pauga out wide. He's been plying his trade with the North Sydney Bears.
What a man!
Elite colours, the best rugby league club on the planet. And so I'm excited to have a look at him. The one Bears game I did catch at North Sydney Oval earlier this year, both of the wingers were absolute standouts, him being one of them. They've got, Swali'i still in the centres. I hate Corey Allen on the left wing. You want to talk about liabilities, Jerome Luai. Corey Allen is one of them in this Roosters lineup. Yeah. They've got no idea what they're doing with Brandon Smith. I don't want to overreact, but Trent Robinson, he is severely hurting his legacy this season. Ooh. They went in as a premiership favourite. They've now got massive future question marks over their emerging star halfback in Sam Walker. I'm just waiting with bated breath to see what happens with that situation, because the Walker family are a switched-on rugby league family with a ton of rugby league IQ, and if they move to pull him out of the Roosters system, then there are serious doubts about Trent Robinson's ability to develop young players. Because frankly, all he's done over the past 5 or 6 seasons is win premierships with Cooper Cronk at halfback.
Hey, not knocking it. It was a great idea.
Absolutely. And, you look at the other older players that have retired for the Roosters in the last few seasons, Boyd Cordner, Mitch Orbison, the hooker, Jake Friend. I'm pretty sure there are others
real heart
as well.
And soul guys of clubs.
There's a front rower too. And, Mitch Orbison was that Mr. Fix-It. He has that Queensland spirit in the way that he used to play rugby league. Just effort. It's effort upon effort, and I don't care if you put me at front rower, centre, wing, edge forward. I'm going to do a job for you. He even played dummy half, and Trent Robinson even admitted as such at the start of the year that they don't have the leadership and the experience that they once did. So they're asking some of these younger guys to blossom in that respect, and they haven't. And James Tedesco is not a captain, plain and simply. He leads with actions on the field, but he's not someone that I would run through a brick wall for. There is absolutely no two ways about that. He's not a motivator. I've never once been impressed by anything that's come out of his mouth when he's speaking about rugby league. So there's no that when you put all that together, what evidence is there that this Roosters team are going to figure themselves out down the back half of this season? What makes this game particularly hard to tip is the fact that the Bulldogs are diabolical as well. They've got a reserve grade forward pack, plain and simply, because they've got guys missing. They've got key guys missing. Now, whether Pangai backs up, we'll have to wait and see. I would say so because, once again, probably not used to his full potential. It's almost like New South Wales picked too many middles and not enough guys that could give Api Coruscant a spell and others. Anyway.
It is a good list of ins for the Roosters this week, though, as well. So there are some players coming back from injury, which does help, but it's also still no Smith, no Radley. Who knows what, Sam Walker, what's going on there. It's just there's still pieces that are they're not there for the Roosters. They're not even on the board at the moment. It's just like we have this awesome jigsaw puzzle, but we've got everything upside down and we're trying to jam stuff into the place that it doesn't work. And we're going to hope that it works out for the best. And we're throwing money at the problem and it hasn't worked. Yeah,
indeed. So, the 10.5 is awkward. There was a few, remember that game about 3-4 weeks ago where the Roosters went across the ditch and beat the Warriors 14-0? I thought the Warriors would cover in that game, but that is the outcome where the Roosters cover here, which is seems like a narrow outcome as far as I'm concerned. So, to be honest, I'm actually leaning the Bulldogs with the 10.5 start at $1.91 on Bet365.
Yeah, and we should note this is a must-win game for the Chooks because between 5th and 10th, there is 2 points covering them. The Roosters are in 10th on 14 points at the moment. So a win here, could potentially results going other ways, get them back into the top 8. And it'd almost be so Roosters-esque just to pick up all the pieces in July and just start winning games. And then all of a sudden they're like 5th and like, oh God, they're doing it again like they did last year before they fell in the first week of the finals. Anyway, that's enough about that. It's making me depressed. Move ahead to Sunday, 4:05 p.m. North Queensland Cowboys, $2.75. Melbourne Storm, $1.46. The line is 7.5, 6.5, wherever you look. Melbourne have won 30 of their last 32 against teams from Queensland. That is insanity.
I mean, they are also from Queensland, the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, that's true.
But that is wild. That is absolutely wild. What do you put that? I mean, it's tough for Queensland teams to travel to Melbourne. I get that, but the flight is just as long going back the other way.
Yeah, but they get to this part of the world and they're like, what? What is this? Sharon's? No, it's a Steeden. They just lose their mind walking around seeing everyone just going nuts for AFL and no one's like, hey, you guys are NRL players. Go away. There's no love here for them.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. The Cowboys absolutely stink. They put a slightly better performance down last week against the Eels, and they still came up eight points short in that one. Obviously 2 weeks removed from rock bottom potentially for season 2023 at Leichhardt Oval, of course. And yet we're still going to be wondering how players back up, essentially. Jason Taumalolo might make his return in this game, which is interesting. But he was there earlier in the year when they couldn't figure things out either. So, look, Val Holmes, he'll probably play. Ruben Cotto got through a mountain of work in that Origin game. So I wouldn't be surprised if they potentially look at resting him. And Murray Taulagi, of course, suffered. He was taken off with an HIA assessment later on in that game. So, there are a few concerns around what the makeup of the Cowboys team is. Obviously, it's going to be the same with the Storm as far as Cam Munster and Harry Grant is concerned. Munster looks like he was knocking around fine after the game. Harry Grant obviously wasn't asked to play the full 80 minutes for Queensland either. So that will be interesting. It looks as though Tyrone Wishart will probably spell Grant during this game. What Bellamy normally does in these situations or has done, think back to the Cam Smith days, is these guys will actually start on the bench and then come on with about 60 or 55 minutes, and normally once they're on, they'll tough it out and they'll play through. It's almost like that would have been a winning recipe for Api Coruscant in the Origin opener last night. I digress. The Storm are by far and away the superior team in this game. They've obviously got the history over Queensland teams, 30 of the last 32 as a stat goes. And Ladbrokes are only giving the Cowboys a 6.5 point start at $1.90. So give me the Storm to bait race a dreadful North Queensland team. And if they don't, they'll still probably win by 7 or 8 points. There we go.
Gets a win. A win's a win. Yeah, thought they'd get the job done. I just still can't believe the Cowboys were preliminary finalists last year. I thought they are the worst preliminary finalists I've seen in a long time, and well, it's proven right. They're second last at the moment.
People forget how close they came to losing against Cronulla though in the first week of the finals.
That's true. That's very true.
And it would have been a very different. They would have been the straight sets and not the Sharks if that outcome fell a different way. Yeah. But yes, it is hard to believe. Like they and they were hot favourites to win at home and go through to the grand final.
Yeah, and now we move ahead to something that isn't baffling. Penrith Panthers $1.18. St George Illawarra $6. The line is 15.5, if you can believe it. St George, they're about to lose their name. They've lost their last 16 away matches when they've been betting underdog. Where do we begin with this club? It's been a running joke for us all season. Rag on St George. Their coach sucks. Their board sucks. Their team sucks. Everyone but Ben Hunt sucks. They're going to lose their major sponsor. Their number one coaching, like the guy they've been going for, like, hey, you're going to get the job, who played for them, is like, nah, I'm going to go hang with Craig Bellamy for 12 months and then take over the Storm. And then their major sponsor, St George Bank, are like, we give you $1 million a year and have done so for 40 years. See ya. What is going on? Do we just go back to the Illawarra Steelers and just blow up the St George Dragons part? Like, seriously. This club is absolutely shambolic.
I don't know if you blame one faction over another one, though. I think
I'm just blaming the whole club. Everything stinks.
Everything does stink. But yeah, it's the fact that they've got conflict at the core of the operation, and Bruce Gordon and Wynn aren't need to be part of the blame as well. It's that simple. It's a diabolical organisation. The largest red flag for me was them not having their stuff together, was starting to renegotiate an extension with Jack de Belin in the middle of his sexual assault trial. Like, what are you doing? It's no wonder they have major cultural issues going on.
And then they made
him
captain last week.
Yeah, and people are scapegoating Anthony Griffin. It's like just any previous season or team that Anthony Griffin has coached has been a disappointment. So why was it going to be any different for the Dragons? The people that hired him to begin with, they're the ones that need to be looking in the mirror. They're the ones that are running the organisation, and they're the ones that are to blame. And the St George Bank finally pulling out is the best thing that can happen to this club, frankly, because and for their fans. Because at the end of the day, I do feel sorry for their fans who have had the wool pulled over their eyes for years and years now. But the fact of the matter is, this was the only outcome that could result in some fundamental foundational change. And that's what needs to occur if this – like, they can't just – hiring Jason Riles and expecting a different result was not going to fix anything. I hope that no board member and no person in that front office that has responsibility at that club, I hope that none of their jobs are spared. They all deserve to go, and they need some leadership quickly.
So we need Ari Gold to walk in with a pellet gun filled with paintballs and just go bang, 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 bang. You're all gone. We're bringing in someone new. Like, is it? I don't know. It probably won't happen. But seriously, can the NRL just come in and be like, right up, you're all out. We're bringing in a new board? Because I know they're all independently run, but surely the organisation that runs the competition go, yeah, this is bad. You guys suck, and are on the verge of just destroying everything that you've built as a club.
Yeah, well, the NRL can can take back the license. They did that with the Gold Coast Titans only about 6 or 7 seasons ago. The mistake the NRL made there was giving it back to the same consortium, which was just insanity. And look where the Titans are. They haven't done a damn thing ever since. They should have given that license to the Bears. The Bears on the Gold Coast are potentially the only recipe that would have any more success than any previous Gold Coast sporting organisation have had ever, because there's at least some foundation history there. At least there's an existing fan base, and there are people that know what they're doing, running things. For St George, it's a similar story that they need a complete reset. This list has been rotting for several seasons now, and the Penrith Stars are going to be so motivated to put Wednesday night behind them. This could be a cricket
This is what we forget. This is like some of these blokes are getting dragged through the media, and they've got till Sunday night at 6:15 to sort of get over everything and be like, oh yeah, we're actually a really good club. We're going to show you all how good we are at club level. And these poor Dragons could be absolute whipping boys. This is the one team you didn't want to run into if you were the Dragons after Origin.
Yeah, Cleary was obviously incredibly disappointing in game one, but he does have that dog factor in him. He works incredibly hard on his game. He's his own toughest critic, and he will be back to the drawing board, I can assure you. He's a class player. People that are calling for his head are being overly emotional about this whole situation. He was bad on Wednesday night. It doesn't mean he's a bad footballer.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a massive game against the Dragons. They're going to win this by 30 plus, I reckon.
Ooh, big call there. If you could find that, go to your bookmaker and get on that line at 16.5. Could well be too tasty to miss there. All right, Phil, that's all the games done and dusted this week. Give us your best bet and a player prop if you've got one. From the sounds of it, you're going to be taking Penrith at the line as a pretty big bet.
You go first. I'm literally just going to build a same-game multi while you go.
No, I'm pretty happy to take not West Tigers. Canberra at the line at $1.90 into Penrith at the line at $1.90 as well. So those two, not that it's nice and safe, because obviously Penrith do need to put up the score there, but I do think that Penrith will absolutely run through St George, and I was already pretty keen on Canberra to get the job done against the West Tigers. I think that 66-18 win or whatever it was is just an absolute blip on the radar, and $1.90 by $1.90 doesn't get you too much, but $3.61 is better than nothing.
Yeah, so the Panthers minus 21.5 is $2.50.
Ooh.
I've got that in a same-game multi. I've got To'o Taruva to score. I've got Dylan Edwards to score, and I've got Nathan Cleary to score. 30-1. There you go. Bang.
Yeah. I like it. This is good. Leo, please clip that one up and have it up there by Sunday night for us. That's round 14 in the NRL done and dusted. Just quickly, who are you tipping tonight in the Women's State of Origin? Hopefully Gerald's got this out by then. New South Wales, pretty short price favourites. New
South Wales are the better team. So they will win this game. They'll win a second straight series. Jessie Southwell is an absolute superstar. It's about time that Newcastle had a number 7 successor to Andrew Johns, and Southwell is it. So New South Wales will be too good tonight. That's my hot tip.
There we are. That is the State of Origin in the women's taking place later tonight. That is NRL CodeBet Daily done and dusted for round 14. We'll be back yet again next week for round 15. Hopefully we got some better stuff to go forward. Gold Coast and West Tigers is the first game of the week. How good's life going to be next Thursday for us, Phil? But please subscribe to the show wherever you get a good podcast. You'll find this on Spotify and its own NRL show spot, through Apple and everything else. It'll just be on the feed with all the other CodeBet dailies that we do. Jim's broken down game 1 of the NBA Finals tomorrow. I've thrown in some FA Cups, A-League Grand Final, and even the World's Test Championship next week. AFL will be out later today with the shortened round that kicks off tomorrow night. Please leave a review, give us a 5-star rating. And thanks, Phil. Thanks for dropping in once again.
Always a pleasure, mate. Happy to unpack all the Dragons' difficulties anytime.
Somehow this has been our longest episode of the year, and there's 7 games. How good are we going? But thanks to Gerald for producing this. He puts up with a lot of crap that I've been giving him, especially like, hey, Gerald, it's in the wrong product area. Please fix that. I love you, Gerald. You are the absolute best. But as always, punters, gamble responsibly. May all your picks come in. Happy punting, and we'll catch you next week. It's CodeBet Daily. Out.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.